Last interview of this month's author showcase is wow, apparently, welcome to the Psychic Friends Network. It's the author of A Good Day at School, Take Charge of Emotions so your child can find happiness. Kat Mulvaney. Holy cow, were you right about everything you said a year and a half ago when you wrote this book?
Right?
Wow, we had these conversations at the author castle. I remember talking about, should we tell people it's about homeschooling? We're like, no, we'll keep it a secret because they'll want to send their kids to school. Well, now the secret is out. You can just be who you are. Let's tell the truth. What's the good day at school about? Who's it for? Who needs to get it? And let's talk about how your life has changed a little here or there over the last year.
Well, A Good Day at School was released, of course, before the COVID pandemic hit. And people needed it then. It's not really about school. It's more about what are the underlying issues if your child or a child that you love is not having a good day at school. What is really going on energetically, spiritually, emotionally? Because those are the places that we're really neglecting, that the traditional government schools are neglecting. And then we found ourselves in 2020, and all of a sudden, even the people that would never, ever dream of homeschooling were forced to homeschool. And then now, as we're in the summer, we were all hoping, well, first we thought it would only be a few weeks, right? And then it was like, okay, the rest of the school year was like, people were becoming unhinged then. And I don't know what they're doing in DC, but where I am, they're not doing in-person school at all now. At first, they were going to go back like 1 or 2 days a week, and now they're doing it all online. So I think that that is wonderful, because I don't think that every child is that well served by being separated from their family and all day long.
And put into that structure and told to sit still for an hour at a time. And
if it works for your child and it feels good to you and everybody, because we all say have a good day at school, honey, but not all kids are having a good day at school. So that's what this book was written for. I'm thrilled that it's now in an audio, because if your kid is struggling in school and in life, you don't have time to really read a paper book. So I'm happy that people can now just access it on audio, on the 2 times speed, or in the car, but now more parents are learning, wow, there's not going to be in-person school. And so they need this book now more than ever, because you want them to have a good day at school, out of the house. But now if they're in your house, you definitely want them to have a good day.
And I'm hearing so much on like a lot of the how are we going to homeschool podcasts and stuff like that have been talking about how teachers aren't just instructors, but they have to be like therapists and manage the emotional life of kids. And it's so hard to do that over Zoom. And I thought, well, I don't know how well they've been doing it in person with 40 kids or 30 kids in a classroom. And so now parents have that job. And who has taught us this stuff? The stuff in your book, they didn't give it to me when I was leaving the hospital. I don't remember the pamphlet on this one.
Right. And the 5 principles in my book are actually going to really benefit the parent as well, because we have all been moving so quickly. We're not resting, we're not reflecting, we're not getting quiet with that, voice of our soul, because we're up at, we wake our kids up when it's still dark out, we rush them off to school, we ourselves are rushing. And when we come back together at the end of the day, it's, after school activities, homework, dishes, dinner, all of those things. So now we're all stuck in the house together, whether or not the parents are working. Most of us, if we are lucky to still have employment, like those of us in your program that we're all entrepreneurs, many of us don't have any idea, especially if they're younger children, how to work with them in the house. So it's not just the reason that that the parent reads this book first, and then when I work with families, I work with the parent first, is because many of these issues are also within us. So this book is a great read or listen for these few weeks before we go back to school, because the parents can make these shifts within themselves. Then their child will energetically respond to them. One of the principles is that we all have this little bubble that we're in, and if we're worried about what's going to happen with school, we don't know how we're going to manage the distance learning, the kids are going to pick up on that anxiety, and they have been the entirety of this year, right? The anxiety of the pandemic and all the other stresses that are happening.
Absolutely, 100%. Well, what's the biggest thing that has changed in your life since becoming an author? What would you say is the biggest thing that's happened since you
Well,
became?
as I was entering the beginning of this year, and I of course didn't know yet about the pandemic, was that I want my second book is about choosing to and then making a plan to live in intentional community. So now that we're all thinking maybe our kids need more emotional and spiritual assistance as they go to traditional school. There's a lot of parents that really the traditional systems don't feel good to them, but they're so busy that they don't have a plan yet for homeschool or for a village school or working together as a community. So what's changed for me is I've moved into an intentional community in Hawaii, and a family has joined me. We have another family that is moving here as we speak. So where I'm not only using and teaching the principles of how to incorporate, spiritual and emotional health into our children's lives, but I'm working with people and encouraging them, especially after this. If you had any small dream of like selling everything and moving to the wilderness with your best friends, like people are really
Do it.
wanting that now. Yeah. So more and more people are really making big changes, even if they're being forced to make some changes. But this little bit of upheaval that we've all experienced is really causing people to make extreme change and look at their life and how they're expending their life force energy,
Yeah, you did the move just pre-COVID that everyone's doing now, it seems. It was for a year ahead of time.
Well, my spirit guides told me to get out of the big city by March, and I did that, and then COVID hit. And I literally, Angela, when I arrived to my new home, I wrote my second book about this intentional community model. I wrote it, and then within days, COVID happened, and now everybody wants out of the cities and wants to
No,
create.
it's so weird. It's like literally the weirdest thing. I remember thinking, I'm like, she's leaving? That doesn't make any sense. Now you're the normal one, it turns out. How could that have happened?
I saw it coming.
Wow, that is for sure. So what an amazing journey. Kat Mulvaney's book, A Good Day at School, Take Charge of Your Emotions so your child can find happiness, available on audiobook now. Congratulations, Psychic One. So